Why Passion.io, specifically why IO?
.com is like the standard for everything, right? But the problem with .com was that most of the cool names are actually taken. They're not available anymore. So what happened then is that new endings became trendy. And to give you some examples, even Mr. Beast, the biggest YouTuber on the planet, he picked MrBeast.store, not .com.store, to make sure that people know it's a store, and why not taking another domain, right? This is also great for e-commerce, for your own store. In software, there was a trend where .io became like the new thing, because it was like cool, and like if you have a cool tool, then more and more companies picked IO. You have the same trend in AI where companies have .ai in the end. So the good thing is it's cool, it's trendy, you get good names, and that's pretty much it. That's the reason why I picked Passion.io, because it was back then still available.
Okay, let's jump into the next one. So, how did you find a supporting team to help you grow Passion? And how did you figure out what to pay them percentage wise?
First of all, in the very beginning, it was super hard, right? I was in the basement, built the first version of the prototype. That was 2015, 2016, early 2016. And then in 2016, I found Dan in order to commercialize the software. And back then we were an agency essentially. So we worked with the first creators back then, and we flew them in and we did everything for them, including the video production, the marketing, the post-production, the customer service, everything. And then we split profits 50-50. And then we try to scale it up to not just one partner, 3 partners, 10 partners, 30 partners, 300 partners. What we learned is that it got so nichey and so difficult to serve all of these people and all of the demand, that we said, hey, actually, let's go into a software where everyone can do it self-serve, and there's no 50-50 profit share. People just can essentially take all of the revenue. And on that journey, I always try to hire people that were stronger than myself. So stronger developers, stronger videographers, stronger marketers, and so on and so forth. I think one interesting learning here is that, and I think I went into entrepreneurship when I was my early 20s, that it's really hard to find really strong people, because if you, let's say, you look for a videographer or for a developer, there's a lot of people out there. You can get them, you go to Upwork, or you go to Fiverr, or you just have a job post and so on. But to find a really committed, great team member, it's very, very hard. I would say one out of several hundred, maybe even of 1,000, are actually really strong, are making you very happy, bringing in 10x impact on whatever the function is. So it's key that I or you become really strong in hiring the best people, because otherwise what will happen is that you're just frustrated, and you think like, oh, I can do this better myself. Why am I paying this person? And like you have all these like mental circles that you go in. So if you're not happy with your team, that means that you have to level up in your hiring. At Passion, everyone has a decent salary, and also everyone has shares in the company. So it's not really percentage wise that they have an upside in let's say a physical dollar that we are selling with someone, but it's like a normal company, salary and then shares.
Thanks for answering that. If I can just quickly jump on a follow up question. So, I love what you shared about you tend to go for people who are better than you at a specific skill, you said. So, for our community who may be trying to build their own teams right now, what would you say they should look out for in people, or what would be those top 3 characteristics that you think make a good team player?
If you think about a 2x2 matrix, and you have one is cultural fit, low and high, and the other one is execution, getting things done, low and high, then the person that you're looking for is the person that is culturally a great fit and is really good in getting things done. Quite often also they don't talk a lot. I mean, they talk a little bit, but they get things done. And then if you have someone that is a machine but is actually not a values fit, that's actually a C player. That's not a B player, because this person will be very toxic, and you won't get along, and ultimately will work against you, and it will break. And so for that reason, B would be high cultural fit but not getting so much done, and then C the other, and D would be none. So higher A players ultimately. That's my suggestion. And what also happens actually is that with your company and when it's growing, the company is growing because you are growing. It's always important to know. Like you are a function, like the business is a function of your own skills. If you know how to make $1 million, you make $1 million. If you don't have make $1 million right now, you're not able to make $1 million now. So that means that in entrepreneurship and in your business, the business is almost an indicator of how good and strong you are. And that also means that entrepreneurship is the ultimate tool for outstanding personal development. So having said that, when you grow and your business grows, therefore, not everyone might grow with you. So the person might be a great fit today, might not be a great fit in 2 years.
I love that. So it's about not stagnating and constantly being aware of whether or not you're leveling up. Cool. Moving into the next question. How can I motivate people to use the community function in my app if they're individual users rather than members of a group coaching program? So this creator says that she has got links to discussion threads embedded in nearly every lesson, but it's still crickets in her community.
So what I'm hearing is there's a course with lessons, and then below there are links to go over to the community or a chat, and then to engage there. I think as a creator, it makes sense to also think like a user. And then the question is, if I consume that content, that video, why would I go over and click that link and then put something there? Like, I mean, I have lots of stuff to do. We all have. How many people engage on videos, anyways, right? It's only like a small percentage. So if you would do it, why would someone else do it? Then the question, of course, is how can you change that, right? And I would say in her case, it seems to be she's course led. So that means she mainly has people engaging in the courses. And then from there, she tries to actually get community engagement. So for course led, I think you can put triggers, call to actions in the videos where you, for example, can say, hey, um, if you have done the thing that I just explained in the video, please go over to this channel and comment done. Or if, let's say, something in fitness, right? How quickly did you do it? Share your time in click below, right? So incentivize them, tell them to do something. If it's community led, so the other way, you focus on the community and then content is more like a supplement, then you focus on engaging with people in the community and you use the content more or the videos more as references. You would use deep links, and then it's rather the other way. You want to get engagement in the content, in the videos, but from the community.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And just tying into what you said, right? With triggers and prompts, it's pretty much what we do in the Expert Unleashed Challenge, right? And that's what brings many of our passion fighters to our community. You need to give your users something specific to do. And if you just tell them that there's a community there which they can use if they wish to, then the odds are that they're not going to do anything because they see it, but they don't know what to post. That happens often. So maybe you can take some inspiration from the Expert Unleashed and give them very specific prompts. That should help. I would also recommend that you don't think of them as individual users because anyone taking a course always wants to know what someone else's experience is who might also be taking the course. So it would be up to you to then build that community mindset or that perspective into them so that they already feel like they're part of a larger group while taking the course. That I think would encourage them to then go ahead and want to participate in the community.
Real quick, we love creator businesses. Well, a lot of people ask us, how can I start and scale a successful creator business? Is there a blueprint somewhere? And you know what? Passion.io has put together 3 blueprints that will help you. Blueprint number 1, the Expert Unleashed Challenge, which will help you to make your first $1,000. And 80% that complete the program will hit that goal. 80%. Blueprint number 2, expert growth. This program will help you to hit 10K a month. And blueprint number 3, the Creator MBA. This program will pair you with a seasoned business coach that holds you accountable on your journey to then hit $100,000 or more. So if you're interested, just click the link in the description below and you can go and start today. Back to the show. If you think, for example, about our own culture at Passion, right? We have like our values: create impact, speak your heart, level up, and so on. So whenever we do something, we hire someone, performance reviews, someone gets a passion award, someone does something amazing, we always say hashtag level up or hashtag uh, impact first, right? So creating a culture even inside your programs can be very, very valuable, because that again triggers engagement, and people become more active because they're part of a tribe and they wanna engage.
What suggestions do you have for a creator who has made a 30-degree change in direction with their Passion app, including a name change while still retaining the original but still relevant content?
Okay, so let me understand. She has content. She changed the content. So maybe changed even the offer or whatever she wants to do with it slightly, which means the 30 degrees very likely. And that also included a name change. It's interesting because to me, what it points at is that there's a mindset of I have to like build this thing A to Z, end to end. And once it's finished, I kind of like publish it, and then people will consume it and it's pixel perfect. I think the mindset, which is also taught in EOC, is that you build your first pancake, you build some content, and then based on engagement with your users and you see what really creates value for them and what their pain points are, you then tune the content, you add more content, you change the content, and so on and so forth. So your content is constantly changing anyways. That's how it should be. And if someone doesn't understand word A and wasn't strong and now you have leveled up and it's now B, then you can of course change it to B, and you should change it to B. Of course, if you have now created 200 videos where you talk about AAA and now like everything is called BBB, that sometimes makes it hard to change. But it is what it is. I would say if you zoom out even further and you look at Instagram, also there, right? If you create an Instagram account, then you don't publish a pixel perfect Instagram account with 1,000 posts where everything is like working out and so on. When you actually launch, you have 0 posts, no bio, no profile picture, nothing, but your life. You're like out there. Like people can theoretically find you with your handle. So, and then you add your first picture and you do your first post and you add a bio link, and it all is all crappy. And then like it's better over time. Right. And even, I don't know, the biggest influencer, Kim Kardashian, like if you scroll down, likely for 3 miles, then at some point you see how she started. Right. So, it is something where you're always out there, and I think that should be the understanding. So it's not like launching a book and then hands off and it's fine. It's launch as fast as possible, do your first pancake, and everything is going to change anyways all the time because you're building out your offer further, better product market fit. You ultimately have an offer stack with different price points. It's a living animal, and treat it like that. So I would say it would be shocking if she actually doesn't have any changes in content.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I love the Instagram analogy. That makes it's something you don't realize until someone points it out, but that makes so much sense. I also maybe think that she said relevant content, and likely whoever her niche is, whoever her target audience is, they're the ones who would eventually decide, right, what is relevant and what is not. So, like you said, launch as soon as possible and get your first pancake out there.
Yeah, relevant is also such a word which, if you're a perfectionist, which I am also, I always want to include everything, right? Like this is important, this is important, and this is important, and this is all important. Like it's all important, like it has to be there. But ultimately, there's an information overwhelm anyways out there. And what people pay for is to get to the result quicker. So if you can actually take all the fluff away and say, maybe even I'm deleting it, I make it shorter, then that's actually better, right? So like what was it Churchill that said sent a 6-page long letter and said sorry about it, I didn't have time to write you a one page long letter, right? Because simplicity is the ultimate complexity, and it's harder to make things shorter and simpler and more to the point. But ultimately that's where the value is. Like think Apple, right? There's its simplicity is why they're so successful, and and yeah, Microsoft has 55,000 more features, but who cares?
Cool. So the next question is going to be a two-parter. So I'm going to ask it in two parts, or it's just going to be very messy. So who should I market my program to scale it to its highest potential?
Oh, that's a deep one. I have a two-part answer to this. One is there's a Japanese concept called ikigai. I would check that. Ikigai means your reason for being. Iki actually means life, and gai describes your value or value of worth. And it's ultimately what brings you joy, what inspires you, what gets you out of bed every day. And it has 4 components. One is what you love, Then second, what you're good at. Third, what the world needs. And fourth, what you can get paid for. And on a Venn diagram of all these four pillars, you actually have the ikigai. And this is something where ultimately the magic is that you need to find. So the second part of the answer is, I think it's very likely in almost all cases your passion. So, but no need to explain because this is not interesting. Passion is actually not, oh, I enjoy playing tennis. Passion comes from the Latin word passio, which means to suffer or to endure. So it's even, like the saying of, hey, seek discomfort, go out of your comfort zone. That's where you can learn and grow. Passion is even one level further because it's your story of suffering and enduring, your story of your upbringing, going from coming out of the womb and then learning and growing throughout the decades. In the beginning, you couldn't walk, you couldn't eat, you couldn't do anything, speak. You would have died if no one took care of you. Then you came up with strategies in order to belong, to be worthy, to contribute, to be confident, and so on and so forth. We all got traumatized along the way by, I don't know, betrayal, and my mom said, and my dad did, and this happened, and so on, which led to 8 billion unique stories on the planet. 8 billion unique stories on the planet. 8 billion passions on the planet. So by definition, everyone has a passion. The question is, are you aware of your passion? Do you embrace your passion? Do you see your passion as not just a problem, something that fucked you up in the past, but as an asset and strength that actually empowers you to change the planet for the better? And if you understand this in detail, then you have a unique thing that no one else has, that actually lots of other people out there can learn from because you survived so far, right? So, and with that, you can likely bring something to the table which is of value to others and is in your ikigai ultimately.
So her question was, who should I market my program to? So I think you kind of spoke about how she can find what that is that she wants to put out there, which was a beautiful answer. But in terms of who she can market to, would you then say that it would be people who then identify with her passion, or she's looking for people who need that one solution that only she can solve with her passion? What what do you think about that?
Quite often, if you really want to have, let's say, enjoy your work so that it doesn't feel like work, then you very likely will work together with people that are close to your values. And then they essentially become part of your tribe. It's your tribe, it's your friends. You're like loving this. And these should be the people fulfilling the ikigai as well, right? Because otherwise, if like what the world needs and what you get can paid for is not there, then for example, it's hard to sell to these people. So that's what I would focus on. I wouldn't like say, hey, business school style, right? Like this market is huge. Let's focus on this persona, and then you just like crack it. You can, but very likely after a year or two, three, at some point you will lose the purpose, and you think it's not really as fulfilling as it could be. So the answer is already inside you. And to be honest, you can make $1 billion with anything. You can sell, like this, like a milk bottle and make $1 million. You can sell pens and make $1 million. You can sell remote controls or microphones and make $1 million. Like plates, anything, like chairs, anything out there, you can make $1 billion. So the question is, what do you want to do?
So the second part of the question is, where should I start if I wish to go beyond my warm market without having to do it myself? Should I consult a publicist, a marketeer, or should I seek recommendations of people who have already tried and tested the same thing?
What I suspect is that you want to go into another market because you think that your market is saturated or doesn't work maybe as it should be, and you now learn something, and so you wanna maybe either pivot or still keep focusing on it, but someone else maybe take this opportunity over here, which might also be good. I think if you make already $1 million a month or something like that, it's like something significant, and then branching out and getting a partner for that, that's I think where I would the first time think about that. If you're not yet there and you're like small, then I think you cannot delegate the work. And that means also in brackets the pain, because you have to first crack your market. And like I said, you can't sell anything. Ultimately, you have to crack it. You have to really go into that pain and make it work, and you can get ultimately you can make anything work. Elon Musk had a good quote here. He said, entrepreneurship is like constantly eating glass and staring down the abyss. So that's kind of like what he said is entrepreneurship, which is quite intense. But the point is here, like, do one thing right until it works. And this other thing is, my gut feeling is I wouldn't do it. It's defocus. It might also point at that your stuff is actually not good enough, which is sometimes good to be honest to yourself, like state the facts, tell the truth, because, like I said, you can make millions with anything. And if you're in a market, like, focus on that and rather get resources to double down on that and crack it ultimately. It's better than always jumping to another thing. So while often it might feel like the grass is always greener on the other side, the grass is greener where you water it.
That makes sense. So I also had like a follow-up question here. So she said warm market, right? So I think what she means is maybe her immediate pool of people who she's already in touch with through her channels. So maybe one thing she could also do is funnel more people into this pool, right? She might feel like the channel she already has, the people she's already spoken to, that might be saturated. So maybe she's not getting any new leads. So something she could try is to get more people into this immediate circle that she already has, that she's referring to as a warm market. Is that something you think she could consider?
Sometimes I hear this mindset of, I just need funds in order to sell better or to market, or I just need to market. I just need to get the word out. And once I get the word out, then I will be successful, but I don't know how to get the word out. In almost all cases, the offer is not strong enough, because if you have a strong product or offer, then it will almost sell by itself. And with that, I think, again, try to really work with your customers on building something that actually makes sense. Then you will get testimonials, you will get referrals, and you don't even have to market. You can, of course, then also on top market to accelerate it, but you need to have the foundation in place in order to market successfully. Otherwise, it won't be an effort worthwhile.
Thank you, Matt. That brings us to our final question. What are the key strategies you use to successfully scale Passion and attract a larger user base for your product?
Passion has grown in multiple stages. The first one was the agency stage, where we served only or worked only with creators who we thought can become most successful. So most engaging audience, big audience, right countries, in a market or niche where the purchase power was good. And then also where we had, of course, our passion, and we thought, like, okay, this is amazing. Would love to work with this person and get the message further out in the world. I think back then it was just to go to not charge, actually, to create a win-win situation, because we actually paid for everything, and then we only shared profit. So it was a low-brainer for the other person. It was like too almost too good to be true, right? You get like everything, all costs covered. They produce something, they do all the work for you, and then in the end, you split profit. So it's a win-win. It's an upside for you. I think that was a good strategy to understand the market, what products work, how to build and sell and succeed with recurring revenue. And then once we launched the SaaS later, in order to serve even more creators, there in the beginning, we were quite focused on the fitness niche. So it was fitness, then was yoga, then dance came. And the company was back then still small. What we have done there were three strategies that changed everything. One was rebranding. We had in the very beginning not even a landing page or not even a web page. It was just a scrappy page with weird branding from some template, and that worked already, but it was crazy. And then at some point we hired an agency to build a proper brand. We went into also here our culture, our values, how does that look visually then as well, and from there we created then the Passion brand, and that rebranding changed a lot. Actually, there's two more things. One is paid ads. So at some point we had a working funnel where we put $1 out there and we immediately made more than $1 back. Yeah. And I think this is also something which sometimes we hear from customers. We're like, hey, why do you invest so much in marketing? Why don't you invest it in product? We actually invest a lot in product. Like all of the money goes into the product because we want to build the best possible product out there. The thing why you also invest in marketing is because in our case with a working funnel, if you invest $1 and you get, let's say, $1.50 back, you make with every dollar 50 cents more back immediately, not over time, like immediately. This 50 cent you can put into the product. And then recurring revenue that comes to the customers you can also put that in the product. So actually marketing in this case with that working funnel fuels the product. So we can build a better product by doing marketing. And paid ads actually was a big game changer for us. And then the last one is what I already like pointed at a bit, going broad. So not just doing fitness, not just doing yoga, and this is already like 2019 stuff, like long time ago. We decided, hey, let's help all the niches out there. If you are into braiding, woodworking, cooking, doesn't matter what it is, the world moved mobile, like to the phones. That's where people are. So consuming content, being on the home screen of people, and learning something which creates a habit to really have an impact on people is something where we think is the ultimate product, which is so much stronger than anything on the web. And for that reason, going broad across niches was the last one that really made a difference.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure our creators can also use those strategies. And I think they'll be pleased to see that we're using our own advice. We started by niching down as much as possible, and then we got it right. And that's when we decided to start building on that. So I think they're going to be quite relieved to see that we're drinking our own champagne, as Dan likes to say.
One more thing I would like to say though, regarding the niche, because in the beginning, yeah, it was just fitness, right? And we tried to really nail the problem there, and then we went broader. But at the same time, as we do mobile apps, it's still like that's also a niche, right? So we are not like a random web course provider like the thousands out there. We think the future is mobile, and that is like again niche, but then across all the different verticals, arguably, right? So I think it's important to have a very clear edge and a very clear niche.
Thank you for that, Matt. This was awesome. And I think our creators are going to be super glad that you've taken the time to answer some of their questions.